Gardenia. Yeah, we're starting the show like that from now on. Hey, happy birthday to me. It's February 1st. It's Monday, February 1st, 2021. Can you guess how old I am? Please don't even try. But hey, as I do every year for my birthday, I tell people, please don't say anything, don't get me anything, just go donate blood. And it is, I'd be like, hey, this is what I want for my birthday. It's a serious, pretty simple, straightforward request. But the reality of giving blood in the world that we live in today is that we have this amazing technology and understanding of our own bodies that is absolutely unique. I mean, part of what makes us the intelligent, dominant species on Earth and all that. But that we are able to take blood in advance and store it and give it to other human beings in medical emergencies. Like that is just like compared to state of nature, wow. Like, yeah, come like, hey, go team people, right? We've come a long way. But with this technology, even today, blood shortages and making medical decisions based on limited supplies of donated blood are realities that just like these like shouldn't exist anymore. It's a fucking chore. Like go like brush your teeth. Oh, did I don't know if I did. Anyway, so like but it's like even more important, okay? And it's not that if you're eligible, I get it. Some people are afraid of needles. Well, I'm afraid of dying, so please don't be afraid of needles. I'm not literally, I don't live in fear of death. I hope I didn't make it good. But we don't have enough. We have this technology, we have this capability, and we don't have enough people to sort of like automatically get like, I mean, I'm not suggesting government programs, obviously, but if every company should be supporting their employees and incentivizing and making it a thing to be able to give blood and making it easy for them and to take time out of work. And I don't really believe in birthdays for adults, and I don't really believe in altruism. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that like do this to be out of the goodness of your heart. No, this is like for the goodness of everybody. Like I want this, in a sense. This is totally selfish because I know that if I'm ever in a situation where I need blood anywhere on Earth, I want there to be a superfluous supply so that they can, yes, here, like, and we're a long ways from that still. I want to know that if I ever need a blood transfusion, the fact that people didn't, that every eligible human being on Earth didn't line up to donate blood until the people asking for it said, no, that's enough, go away. Like that we don't do that. Like the medical technology science has made this capability available for everybody. And I don't want my life to ever hang in the balance of whether enough people donated blood or not. Like that, I hope you would feel the same way. And I want that for myself, but I want it for my family. I want it for my friends, my loved ones. Ultimately, I want that for everybody. It's just like, hello, if you're gonna pay attention because it's my birthday, well, fuck it. Like, can we fix this? Like, can we not let blood shortages be a thing anymore? And so I want to talk a little bit just for a couple minutes here about where we're at with the blood supply today. And this is not like the best comprehensive picture. This is just something I grabbed to make the point. This is from September 15th of last year, but it's relevant because like I do this every year, but this is because of the timing of my birthday. It's this is the first birthday I've had where this is like post, like in really in the throat. Like when my birthday last year, remember a year ago, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah. Well, a year ago, it wasn't such a thing, but we're in a worse position now with the blood supply. And this is something that should absolutely transcend, but like everything else, everything, political beliefs, understanding COVID, doesn't matter. And like if you go to donate today, like I've donated a few times, I think just twice in the last year. Yeah, not as much as I should have. I should have donated 3 times because I do. So I go to Vitalant because it's, and I'm not endorsing, and this is not a paid promotion or anything, but Vitalant.org, because they've been the most convenient based on where I live and where I've been traveling, and I've never had a bad experience with them. And they give you cookies, and yeah, it's a professional thing. Of course, they're going to ask you to wear a mask right now. Sorry, no medical exceptions. If you're in, like, whatever medical environment, you're going to wear a mask, and they're going to test your blood for COVID anyway. But one of where we're at right now, because of COVID, is just with the blood supply. Anyway, the story is from McKinsey.com, September 15th last year, by Avi Satyavarapu and Dillabuegal, improving the fragile U.S. supply of blood for a system that relies on the altruism of contributors. An aging class of donors and changing attitudes puts the nation's blood supply at risk. A little more than a year ago, Independence Day weekend in 2019 passed with few people in the Pacific Northwest aware of the health risk looming ahead of them. It wasn't the COVID-19 pandemic, though. That too was just months away. Rather, it was the United States' perilously low stockpile of blood and blood products that put the Pacific Northwest workforce and their families at risk. In spite of impressive steps to reduce the need for blood through the use of minimally invasive surgeries, the amount of blood collected through donations had been falling for decades. And in Seattle, a local blood bank, Bloodworks Northwest, tells us that stocks were nearly depleted for the first time in its 75-year history, even in the absence of a crisis. Oh, we all know what happened, right? Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. By July 2020, the American National Red Cross had already canceled nearly 40,000 blood drives, and it's seen more than 1 million fewer blood donations. Now, I would hope, and I assume to a certain degree, less human activity because of lockdowns and shutdowns and curfews. Maybe less traffic accidents, less traumatic injuries requiring blood transfusions. But that is not the countervailing dynamic here. So just as abruptly as lockdowns lifted, demand surged as hospitals raced to perform a backlog of delayed procedures. Supplies fell so low that some blood collection centers went as far as advising hospitals to delay elective procedures. That's in the United States. Like, really? We don't have people donate enough blood that even procedures like surgeries that are planned, like, we don't have, like, they have to be pushed back. Now, a lot of those elective procedures that we've seen delayed under COVID have been for things that are become non-elective if you delay them. Health situations deteriorate. I mean, people are dying. It might be just around the margins here in the United States, but think of how much better it would be in around the world if we were at that point of blood saturation. Let's get to blood saturation. Let's get enough people around the world lined up donating blood that they start turning people away. Like, until it gets to that point, I'm gonna keep talking about this, right? And I hope you will too. The risks for the nation and its workforce are eye-opening. In the Southeast, one bad hurricane in what is expected to be a busy season for hurricanes could force doctors and hospitals to ration blood. In the Pacific Northwest, one magnitude 9 earthquake could deplete blood inventories in a matter of hours. Like the novel coronavirus itself, a blood shortage is a risk to the lives and livelihoods of U.S. residents. And even if the pandemic were resolved tomorrow, trends in blood donor demographics and attitudes would continue to put the stability of the country's independent blood supply system at risk. Replenishing and sustaining blood supplies can't be achieved by not-for-profit collection centers alone. Companies, blood centers, medical facilities, and local governments all have a role to play. And yeah, I could rant for days, because about how government interferes with this. And I thought my next big civil disobedience was going to be to donate blood more often than you're allowed to, but they kind of keep track of that, and I know that, like, being about 220 pounds, I can give more often than my wife, who weighs half, like literally half of that. So but that's not the bottleneck even, right? I mean, well, I guess it might be a choke point, but what's really preventing this is that enough people aren't just going and doing it. It's fucking easy. You go, you sit down, You fill out, they do a prick test on your finger, right? Because they have to check your blood for I think just iron or something first. Make sure that you're safe to give blood. You sit down, you do a questionnaire. You can do it online. Do it before you even get there. At least with Vitalant, you sit down, they stick a needle in your arm, and yeah, you don't like needles. Okay, like it hurts, it pinches for a second. It's not a big deal. So anyway, the story ends. Demand moderates, but supply falls every year in the United States. Nearly 21 million blood components, where blood cells, platelets, and plasma are transfused. So yeah, what I do is the double power red with Vitalant, where they take red blood cells out. And it's really fun, actually. I actually love this process. They put a needle in, but it goes to a triple fork of tubes, and it pulls out your whole blood and puts it in a centrifuge, and it separates the red blood cells from the plasma, and then with saline it sends the remnant back into your body, and it's cold, and you feel this cold liquid go, and at least I get to feel it, and I feel it like across my chest and in my other arm. It's kind of a cool, unique sensation if you want to do the double power red and feel really cool. And I've been doing this since I was in college. Maybe one of the reasons I got encouraged is like I have some absence of a virus that makes my blood eligible for donation to children, or for transfusions for children and infants, something like that. I don't really know. And it really doesn't matter. If you're eligible, go. If you don't know if you're eligible, go. Like, if you don't know that you're ineligible for sure, go, or at least call and talk to someone and make sure. And if not, ask someone else to go. Ask people around you who are eligible to go, because it's something that you want, right? So this has been this is a problem here in the United States. So anyway, just to I guess we could go through all the different statistics and graphics and donors and attitudes. And so we'll skip ahead through all the graphics and stats, and aging donor supply, changing attitudes, all that. Many blood centers struggle financially, and few have the staff, technology, or funding needed to support research on donor pool expansion. To understand more, we surveyed around 2,200 residents aged 15 and older in the states of Oregon and Washington to determine some of the drivers behind blood donation or lack thereof, and to unearth interventions to promote donations in critical segments. Nearly 15% of survey respondents say they had donated in the prior 12 months, while around 10% say they had never considered donating. The difference in attitudes and behaviors between active and non-active donors is striking and offers insight into how and where blood banks might most effectively target their efforts to increase donations. Active blood donors, for example, are around 25% more likely than non-active donors to report being involved in their community, sociable with friends and colleagues, and good role models. Around 65% of them see blood donations as a social responsibility and are actively willing to donate if there is an urgent event. And this is one of those things that we really need right now as society as a whole, to come together and say, just again, it's just like, regardless of what you think about COVID, or what you think about the system in which all this takes place, being right now especially isolated under COVID, to get out and you get to sit there while you're giving blood. Like it's funny because they make you wear a mask the whole time, but then they give you cookies and drinks while you're donating blood, and you get to take your mask off and smile at people and eat your cookies and sip your apple juice and all that. They want you to replenish liquids and sugars and stuff like that. So but it's a really simple thing to just say, like, yeah, I'm gonna go every 2 months or every 4 months or whatever it is, with whatever is in my area. So let's take care of this. And one thing that I want to point out with the COVID vaccine, and this is from redcrossblood.org, and a specific link to this. So redcrossblood.org. And what I suggest you do, or what I'm asking you to do, is, get on your. It's so fucking easy that this is still a thing that really should be just maddening to everybody. But it's so easy. Get on your phone. You got Google Maps or whatever it is, and search for blood donation center, blood donation, whatever's close to you, whatever's convenient, whether it's a Red Cross center or Vitalant or something else. I don't pretend to be any kind of expert on this, But if everybody for whom it was that easy, it's you look it up on your phone, you call, hey, am I eligible? Okay, I'm eligible. All right, cool. We'll make an appointment. You go in, and it's like I don't know, less than an hour start to finish, usually something like that. But redcrossblood.org has this in their new like FAQ about coronavirus and vaccines and blood donation eligibility. So whether you got the vaccine or not, you're still eligible to give blood. So there's no deferral time. That's what the concern was, is that do you have to wait? But there are some issues. And again, the number here is if you have eligibility questions, call 1-800 Red Cross. Simple as that. But to know the company that I've been going to that I like, Vitalant.org, blood donation. And when you go to their website, Vitalant.org, right there it says donating is essential to fighting COVID-19. I mean, whether you believe it or not, fighting the shortage that we have right now with COVID-19, I think is really important. And let's see, I guess if you scroll down, they also have a number toll free to call, and they will help you with the questionnaire and your eligibility. 877-25-VITAL. So I mean, I guess I guess that's just about it for my birthday. Yeah, it's my birthday. You'll fucking listen to me rant about giving blood if yeah, at least that much. But you know, is it virtue signaling, you know, to be doing this on my birthday every year? Fuck yeah, it is. Absolutely. My virtue is I like being alive. I don't like people dying for stupid shit. And this is something that just feel like, can we get on this? Can we get past not realizing the potential of this technology and really taking care of each other? And it's such, I mean, to me, I don't want to like glorify it, because in a way it should, you know, in some ways it deserves to be glorified as like, yeah, you're saving lives, you know, but it's I don't want to like make too much of a big deal out of the act itself, because it's a chore, you know, and it's something that, you know, a lot of people, whether it's from traumatic injury or vehicle accidents or you know, surgeries associated with chronic diseases or cancer or whatever it is, like, you know, the odds of you needing blood at some point in your life are not insignificant. So it really is a beautiful thing of like giving a piece of your body to save another person's life. So please, for my birthday, as always, give blood. All right, and with that, welcome to the show and back to your regularly scheduled deprogramming. Let's get Comment Jim Freedom up on screen here. I'm sorry, by the way, my screen was frozen the second half of that whole opener, so I didn't see any of the comments coming up. If there are any critical ones that you want me to respond to, Jim or CJ, let's get those back up on screen. But healthy disrespect for others is, wait, they're doing COVID blood tests and not the up the nose foot long swab. Yeah, well, we got, I mean, whether CJ likes it or not, we do have a couple stories today about the virus, which shall not be mentioned. And one of them is that tests are available in vending machines now. And it's like, could have been like that from the beginning. Billy the Kidder, that's just what the vampires want you to do. Okay, Jim, donate your blood. I'll get it. Oh, okay. Mwah. Murder Wildfire, hello. Adam versus the Man Crew. Thank God it's Monday. Indeed. And Jim, you got to get Jim up. Is Jim, what's going on? Can we get Jim up on screen here?
I'm here.
All right.
Just clicking him for you.
All right. No, we only got 9. Well, we have a really exciting guest today. And I don't know if we have a confirmation from this morning, but I talked to him yesterday. Kenny Marshall. Oh, wait. He's, or let's see. I'll send him a message. I love Telegram.
Well, I'll give you some more happy birthdays while you're doing that. We got Mercedes. No, happy birthday.
I said it. No. Like, unless it's happy birthday, I'm going to donate, or I'm already a regular donor. Like, don't say anything. Don't give me anything.
Okay, here you go. Boom. Happy birthday. Excellent. I'll be donating.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. So that was the most comprehensive rant I think I've done on donating blood. I hope that
That's
covers
pretty
everything.
good. It was very informative. I think a lot of people. There was even somebody up there that was saying they actually didn't realize the situation with the blood. Healthy disrespect for authority said he thought you were talking about plasma donation when you were talking about the centrifuge and separating stuff. But
That's red
Kimberly,
blood cell.
right?
Yeah, it's
Kimberly Wood pointed
crazy.
out it's the double red. Well, she asked, is double red the same as Pharisees, which is the plasma? They take the platelets out and give you the red back in the plasma that Healthy Disrespect was talking about. So
Right.
it's a different process.
I don't know. Like, I just wish I could like actually give what I'm physically capable of. Because I go in and they're like, "All right, come back in 2 months or 3 months or whatever." I think it's 2 months. It changed for me because last time I went in the Ventura area when I was there with my wife visiting her family. I think around Christmas, and yeah, and they only wanted whole blood. Normally they're like really excited to have someone do double power red, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Go and give them what they want. Go and let them put a needle in your arm, and
Right.
I don't want to say like trust them to do whatever, but like yeah, this is pretty basic shit. Like watch what they're doing. Make sure the guy isn't clumsy. Whoever gal putting the needle in your arm, but like it's pretty straightforward procedure. They know what they're doing. There's no like and there's no I don't know if there's any the risk that you're like woozy and you pass out, right? Like I'm always like I feel when I do a double power red, I do feel weak for like I feel like I'm operating at just like 85% vitality. It's not even that bad for like 24 hours and then it just kind of tapers off over a few days and I feel like I could give blood. I could do it again, every 2 weeks and be pretty safe. But whatever, we'll get there. That's one of the frustrating government things is that if people really wanted to, like they would like maybe that would be the solution to this problem. If we got government regulation out of the way on this, and I could get paid to give blood as often as my body is capable of giving, and I go and just get hooked up, and you should get paid, you should get compensated. Eventually, it should be something that it's just another market transaction. Like it's not a big deal. Like we shouldn't have to even be donating. And you get a little incentive. Like I think I got. I do get. You get points with Vitalant. You get points, and you get to cash them in as a gift certificate.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And I wonder like you can get Barnes and Noble or Home Depot, or like a couple big box stores like that, Target maybe. It's enough that anybody could use it. But I think you do end up getting paid like a decent. If you broke it down, like the hourly rate would not be insignificant if you measured it in your like T-shirts and gift certificates. No, but even just the gift certificates, I didn't even know that was a thing. That like they told me recently, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have 3,000 points built up from the last few years we've had this system going." I was like, "Oh, okay, what do I get?" But we'll get there. And until then, I hate to be it is what it is because it sounds so fucking pathetically submissively statist. But no, like like when it comes to blood donations in the current medical system, no. Yeah, complaining about it is not going to solve the shortage right now. So no, go give blood.
Fair enough. Well, you've gotten a couple people, anyways, that have pledged that they're going to go give. So if the old saying, if you only change one person's mind, or if you only cause one person to do it, it was worth it or whatever. You've already got more than a couple, so that's cool. Country girl,
I love it. I do this. I do this every. I do this every year, and every year it feels like we get at least a few dozen people, more than normal signed up. But maybe this year that's a compelling enough way of making the case that it can get out a little further than our audience. And really, right now, It's a uniquely needed message. Like, hey, while we're all paying attention to other shit, stop and remember the blood supply is kind of, man, it's running low. It's running low. It's still running low. Really? Like, how have we not fixed this?
Government, you know how.
Yeah.
So Country Girl Yee didn't realize you were on Telegram, so that sounds like an opportunity
Yes.
to remind them
Yes.
where to go,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Where
There
there
it
it
is.
is. Thank you, CJ.
T.me/Adam versus the man. Thank you, Jim. And CJ set this up. It's kind of his baby. I went in there. I changed the description a little bit today, and we are building it out. We are just launching this, getting in the game on Telegram, and as the backup to everything else we're doing in distribution. It's pretty cool because even email services, if you're if you're not if you don't kiss the man's ring, they can censor you there too.
True
So you want to
story.
tell everybody about the website and the other promos real quick before? So Kenny, oh, look at that. Country Girl Yee is already on there. Thank you so
Bam.
much. So Kenny texted me or telegrammed me here 2 hours ago. Said he reached out to CJ, never heard back, but I just sent him the link. And so, I mean, we'll just keep going until he till we hear from him here or pops up backstage. Got a fun grab bag of news articles today. And if anybody wants to call in, I guess, to tell people why they donate blood, we'll do that.
Excellent.
And anybody who wants to call in and talk about donating blood, yeah, you win membership in the Producers Club today. Jim, you want to tell them what that is?
Sweet, absolutely, yeah. What you can win membership in is the Producers Club, which is basically our private Telegram chat, not the public Adam versus the Man chat. So if you want to be with the in crowd with the cool kids in the private section and the VIP section, then you got to be in the Producers Club. You can win that as Adam just described, or if you don't want to win it, you don't want to wait for our challenges, you can just go to adamversustheman.com, click on our Patreon link, and that's going to bring you there where you can donate $1, $5, $10, or even $50 a month. $10 is the sweet spot that gets you access into the Producers Club. And so that's where you're at. $10 a month gets you access to the Producers Club for all the bonuses. Then go back to adamversustheman.com and visit the store that CJ's put together. Check out all of his t-shirts, everything from bean bags, underwear, hip sacks, towels, everything. Stuff I'm losing my words. There's too much stuff on there to check out. So check it out. After you're done with that, go to visit cigarfederation.com. If you're a tobacco smoker, that's the place to go. It's the best way to ingest tobacco or nicotine. It's healthier than inhaling it in the lungs. You absorb it through the mouth. They have the delicious flavors. So if cigars are your thing, definitely go there. Use promo code ADAM10, all caps. You'll get 10% off of your entire order. And it helps Adam get his favorite JSK nugs. After that, the Garden of Freedom Instagram is where you can keep up to date on everything Adam has going on up there in Gardenia, all through pictures, obviously, and all plenty of good ones. I love that cat one that just went by. It's one of my favorite ones. I swear I'm going to make a meme out of that cat picture one of these days. I need to get to it. Every time I see it, I think, damn, I got to go back and meme that, but I don't know what to make of it.
So. Yeah, anybody who makes a meme worthy of sharing on my main Instagram with one of the pictures from the Garden of Freedom Instagram wins membership in the Producer Club. Yeah, no, I got so many pictures backed up, man. The snow is melting. It's muddy and gross. I have a visitor here who I had to help with some interesting I can't tell you what he's involved with until it's done. When he's done, he'll be back here he's off on an adventure. I had to drop him off last night and I had to go in and out on the 3 miles of dirt road here. Man, like it is nasty. It is chunks of snow and like ice on top. Like it's like chunks of frozen mud and layers of ice over muddy puddles and ditches and everything that's like on the surface is just like, you know, what did my dad
Mush.
say that I thought was really dumb? Slicker and grease goose shit. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I got Jim. I mean, you know, the truck I got now. I am in love with it now more than ever because
I'll bet.
on these roads and the snow. But even with this, I'm like, I'd rather not be driving in this, you know. So did we cover all the promos? I mean, we want to encourage people to get in the Producers Club, to be ready to volunteer and jump in and help promote the new General Adam versus the Man channel. Look at that. Hold on. Wait a second. I think we have to wait a second. There's something wrong in this, that not everybody's supposed to be able to post. Everybody's supposed to be able to comment in here, I think. But we're gonna set that up. Jump in there, have fun with it while it's all open. But we want to make that like a broadcast of everything Adam versus the Man and a critical news digest, which is what we put together in the other Producers Club chat, the behind the scenes, which is how I prep for the show, is what you want me to cover. And eventually we're going to grow this into an alternative to the Drudge Report out of thefreedomline.com. So very cool potential. I feel really good getting into this new routine back here at the Garden of Freedom, and we've got a house being delivered very shortly, so we'll be able to and all the stuff to finish the studio. I know, like, this looks great, right? It's me in a white shirt and a black curtain, but we're about to have sound foam and level up this game. We've got this wonderful studio space. We haven't talked about this in a while, but thank you to all of our patrons who have made this possible, that we have this Freedom Factory here set up and this amazing place to do the show. And haven't quite realized its potential because we don't have the interior shell done. I still have the dogs living in here, so it's pretty dirty. We're going clean soon. We're gonna finish the drywall. We're gonna put that up maybe this weekend. All right, so I guess we're still waiting to hear from Kenny. So I'm just going to jump into
block.
Well, do you have any other comments before we get into? I mean, this first one, you might want to stick with me for this first one and interrupt with comments. Hold on. Did you go away? Try to go away and come back. See, God, I made my screen freeze. All right, so yeah, go. You want if you want to come back up, either CJ or our producer CJ in South Dakota, or Jim or anybody else for this first one, a really appropriate Mental Health Monday kind of story. Studyfinds.org is this headline: Zombie Nation, third of adults walking around in concussion-like daze due to stress, lack of sleep. And at a time like this, when people are, all of us, to one degree or another, somewhat isolated, whether you like it or not, and it might be really insignificant for you, but because other people in the world are isolated in some way, you live in a less vibrant world as a result. And it's worth taking the time and looking at a study like this and really taking some kind of objective survey of how people are doing. So, Jim, one of the things that I thought was fun to talk about with you on this is that you and I think we've spent a decent amount of retail time together. I think over the past year, you and I have been to Walmart about a dozen times, right? In Phoenix, Flagstaff, and Prescott Valley.
Right. And
yeah. And it's interesting phenomena here, right? Because you go to Ashford, and it's only the tourists driving through who are wearing masks, even. And this is one of those places where they say, well, did you hear about that guy who got shot for trying to enforce mask policy? That's why we don't enforce mask policy at all around here. But nobody cares. Like, people out here have well, for one, healthy immune systems, healthy relationships with reality and fear and risk and all these things, and the skepticism towards authority naturally. So in Ashford, it's you go to, to be fair, post office is a survey or a sample of pure locals, right? And at the post office, I think it's been about somewhere between 1 in 5, 1 in 10 wearing masks. Okay, and it's just for the most part, you don't see anybody wearing masks. Occasionally, one old person walking in, feeling out of abundance of caution. When I go to the post office, I'm going to wear a mask kind of thing, right? Or when I'm out running errands. But people under 60 wearing masks in their cars, part of what's wrong with America right now. Jim, do you have any insight? Because we haven't done this in a while. With my friend Eden, we went to we were at Walmart in Flagstaff yesterday. Busy Sunday afternoon. One other person in the whole store without a mask. Lots of employees with chin diapers and their noses out. One without a mask. That was it.
That's shitty. But again, I think it's still in a place where the vast majority of them are wearing it just because they don't care. They're like, it's easier than they're still worried that somebody's going to try to confront them and they don't want confrontation. So they literally wear it to avoid confrontation at this point. I think a lot of people, because I get a lot of looks. Actually, here's one story that's a recent one that was kind of funny. I was coming out of a store. I can't remember which. I think it was a Circle K or something. No, QT. It was a QT. I love QT because I've never heard a word one about a mask at any QT I've been to anywhere. So I go in to get my stuff. I'm walking out, and there's a guy walking in, and he has his mask like over one ear, and he's going to put it on like that as he locks eyes with me and realizes I don't have a mask as I'm walking by him. He like literally froze halfway into it, and like 2 or 3 seconds, and I was smiling just proudly, like, how you doing? You know what I mean? And he literally went whoop and took it off and put it in his pocket and walked in the store. Like, if he can do it, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, there it is. That is the first time I've actually seen it in front of me. You know what I mean? I don't know how many people have seen me and went like that. And then a couple minutes later, when nobody was around, went poop like that and wanted to see how long they get away with it, whatever. But I saw it once for a minute. It was very, very satisfactory. Very satisfying.
Yeah, I pointed this out as we were walking around Walmart yesterday with Eden, that look like everybody's wearing them, but nobody cares that we're not. Like the guy at the door, do you have a mask? And I said, no, thanks, I have a medical exemption. And Eden gave a longer sense, and the guy was like, huh? And that was it. Like, that was the only time it came up the entire time. And we had to get electronics locked out from the special guy in the back and pay separate, and all like, and interact with people, and and even what was funny is at one point we were standing at one, and it wasn't even a busy part of the store, it was like some back corner, but people kept walking right in front of us. And I was like, see, like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. It is, but it does show that weird, going along to get along kind of thing, where it's an unthinking obedience, but it's weighing people down. And that's what I want to talk about in regards to this story, because Eden also said, like, that part of his experience in being, letting people see his smile is that it gives people hope. Like, even just, most people want to be that guy. Like, there's, and even if they don't, there's a huge chunk that conscientiously go, man, I wish I didn't have, he's not doing it. Man, I wish I had the guts to just face people down and say, I don't believe this shit. Like, I don't believe that masks are helpful. I believe they do more harm than good. And if you're not going to tell me, like, I'll stay 6 feet away from you. You can stay 6 feet away from me. But, I'm, and if my policy is actually pretty mild on this most of the time, is that I'll wear a bandana. And I didn't have one. And I was like, I don't know, not anymore. But, like, if I'm traveling or in a sensitive situation, I'll wear, or doing, like, a ton of shopping, like, I'll wear a bandana and keep it around my neck and say, if you ask me to put it on, because I'm choosing to be within 6 feet of you out of respect, if that's what you want, I'll do it. Or if someone says, hey, man, I really need you to do this, because if not, it's going to make my job a lot harder, and if it's just that. But yeah, so anyway, to the story, here's a pretty good reason to make sure you're getting enough rest and relaxation in your life. More than a third of people are walking around with the same symptoms as concussion due to stress and lack of sleep, suggests a new study. A survey of more than 31,000 people shows that insufficient sleep, mental health problems, and stress were the cause of a whole host of symptoms doctors are used to seeing in head injury patients. Symptoms of what doctors call post-concussion syndrome range from persistent headaches, dizziness, and anxiety to insomnia and loss of concentration of memory. And obviously, like we're gonna get to the connections here. But if you don't think that the dark cloud called Corona, Karina, hanging over everything, doesn't have something to do with this, you're nuts. And I gotta say, anytime I mention the virus, right, that shall not be named, so we don't get censored, that nothing I'm saying is to be construed as medical advice. But I don't think anybody's gonna censor me for saying give blood, right? Like, so in that context, it's okay. And I think in this context, right, we're not. I don't even want to talk about, anything that would be crossing into, medical advice about Corona. But like, let's just look at the effects on everybody right now. And one of the things my wife told me, Samantha, I think after we got married in May, was I'm tired of pretending like this isn't affecting us. And you can acknowledge how much this is bullshit and say this is still going to affect us. And just imagine that people are in this state. So while 27% of people report having several of these symptoms, between half and three-quarters say they experience at least one. The most common symptoms are fatigue, low energy, and drowsiness. Yet despite their findings, researchers believe the number in the general population could be much higher. The study, funded by the National Collegiate Athletic Association and the U.S. military, was designed to improve care for athletes and soldiers who suffered concussions. A total of 2,039 military service academy cadets and 18,548 student athletes were surveyed. The numbers were high and were consistent with previous research in this area, but it is quite shocking. These are elite athletes who are physically fit, and they are experiencing that many symptoms commonly reported following concussion. So looking across the general population, they probably have even more. So this is like obviously focusing on something that's more related to optimizing athletes and soldiers. But if you look at all of these trends associated with suicide and addiction and abuse from being locked in at home with people and under a stressful situation, and the financial stress, this is what I'm talking about when I say the dark cloud hanging over everything. Jim, is there anything else that you would connect to in your experience with this?
I don't know. Not that I can think of. I just keep thinking like general. We've been being poisoned for how many years? It's finally caught up with the general population that we're just run down and diseased and unhealthy, and as general population. I think it's decades in the coming, and this coronavirus is just a mask they put on it, something they can point to blame.
Well, CJ says he's sick of talking about the virus, and I hope we're not. I hope this is like enough of a change in subject to say like, no, this is mental health Monday stuff, right? This is like, let's, and there's the other article, and CJ, the link is on that one. I'm sorry I didn't send this one separately, but COVID's second wave has hit men the hardest psychologically, mental health study says. The last 12 months have been tough for everyone, regardless of gender. That being said, a new study out of Denmark finds that while women initially showed greater signs of mental distress during the first round of spring 2020 lockdowns, it's now men facing the most mental health challenges during COVID's second wave. And study author Soren Dinesen Ostergaard, professor of the Department of Clinical Medicine, blah, 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 says we see that men's psychological well-being is lower in the November-December measurement than it was during the spring lockdown, while the trend has gone in the opposite direction for women. And so this is, it's worse for everybody, and everybody's, the winter roll, seasonal affective depressive disorder. Yeah, these are, these are depressing things to talk about. So let's talk about them, right? Like, can we talk about them and laugh about them? Can someone put some good depression? I feel like I need to pull up, like, to get CJ through this segment, I need to pull up the worst jokes ever website and look up depression jokes, suicide jokes. Like, remember when we used to do worst jokes ever every day?
Yeah. We only did that a couple days, I think.
So, Jim, is there something, you think would, I mean, what do you want to see? Like, what's the, I mean, I've always admired your, I mean, not just your sort of pacifist, hippie outlook, but you in a way, like, I think you and I both have a very uh strong positivity bias, optimism, orientation, gratitude, right? And I really appreciate that you seem to have it motivated by something different than me. What do you think is that for you? Really poorly worded.
What's my motivation?
No, what is it? What is it that keeps you on that positivity bias?
Geez, that's a deep question, man. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something spiritual to say, but it's just who I am, I guess. What do you? I don't know. I don't know what made me that way. I like to say my parents. You know what I mean? My parents made me who I am, made me the person I am, and that's why I am that way. I don't know. I'm into a lot of people like John Lennon, and he was sort of that way, as
in his own spirituality. Yeah,
I guess he kind of originally inspired me, and I took it from there, I guess, and I just really believe in it. I believe it makes sense.
Well, here's a riddle for you. How do you get a depressed person out of a tree?
I don't know.
Cut the rope.
Okay, that's a restructured one, but all right.
Man, these jokes about depression are kind of depressing. I mean, I thought they'd have better ones here.
All right. Trumpkin says discussion of Modelo's is causing CJ mental distress. We should bring him on live to make sure he's not wrapping a tie around his neck. I can see him backstage, so I will verify for you, Nada, that he is not.
He's just enjoying his legal weed there in South Dakota finally. All right, so how about this one? A man walks into the library, says, "Hello, ma'am. I'd like to borrow a book about committing suicide." You know what the librarian says? No, you won't bring it back. Jeez. All right. Is that enough of this? I mean, I just want, we put up the suicide hotline, on the show a lot of days when we talk about these issues, because they're not easy to talk about, and people do get triggered. I want to point out that with what we're doing with Homefront Battle Buddies with our friend Stephen McClure, he wants to make himself available for veterans who want to consult by email. So I'm gonna send this to CJ here. We can get this up on screen as well. Still waiting to hear from Kenny. But I would hope, like our audience is, I think our audience is pretty well with it. Like, this is why our audience is so small, CJ, is because we have a positivity bias, and the only people who want to hang with us are the ones that want that reinforced and want to stay in that. We're competing with people who are stoking negativity constantly. Like, stop and think about this. For like, do you if you're ever at the airport and you see CNN for like 10-15 minutes at the gate, and you go, there are people who watch this for hours, and this is their only connection with the current events. Like, it's gotta be like, and even like I get I still get a third of the news we do for this show from Drudge Report, as opposed to the Producers Club or other social media sources. Twitter is where I'm most active right now. but you look at Drudge as like this window on mainstream media. What is the mainstream media talking about? And it's COVID, 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 COVID. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. And I think there are a lot of people who are just like, I think the illusion's wearing thin, but for a significant chunk of the population, it's making it worse every day, every day. It's like pounding into them deeper and deeper. And like, why do they stop and think? Why do they do this? Because it works, right? It has an impact, and they want to beat people down. So I don't know. Maybe I should have prepped for this segment better with better jokes and more uplifting, messages of positivity. But I just thought it was worth even at least getting into those two articles to take some stock of, where people are and and encourage empathy and sympathy and just being kind and forgiving to everyone that you meet. And I don't know what else I can say, but that's all I have to say about that, right? Jim, anything else on the subject before we do see if we have any callers and get to our news block?
No, I think we've covered that, and we have no callers, so let's do us a news block.
Well, by the way, I guess one last thing to wrap up the segment. I think this is CJ in the producers club here. He says, as a follow-up to this, one, it is no fault of anyone on the show. There is no money in challenging the narrative as it is censored. Well, there was at one time. I used to make like enough money to rent a house and pay a bunch of interns doing Adam versus the Man when we got paid fairly by YouTube. But we're in like and see, you have to see what we are doing in independent media production that challenges the mainstream narrative as activism, not as business. And when I did and let myself become dependent on it, it was a lot harder for me. And we have to know that what we're doing is not just like a normal business enterprise subject to normal business forces, but because it is a form of activism, because it is a message that does get censored, it is something that is more akin to activism, or I hate to say fight because I believe in the de-escalation, but it has the nature of a conflict in terms of the fluctuating fortunes and being able to grow an audience, to hold an audience, to monetize an audience. And you have to see it beyond that and just say, we're doing this, not because it's politic or profitable or, looks good, but because it's the right thing to do, to butcher a Martin Luther King Jr. quote.
So we got Kimberly Wood asking, so I'm just going to go ahead and publicly explain, so in case anybody else is wondering how you call into the show. After that, CJ has posted under your name to join. You click and copy the link. The link is right there all over whatever chat from whatever platform you're watching. If you don't see a link for some reason, try another platform, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all on your show, and then click on that link, go to your browser, follow the few prompts, and you're in. You'll pop up backstage like somebody just did and then disappeared a split second later. So somebody's working on it. So if you want to do a quick segment and then let them get on and get settled.
And I'm hoping that Kenny's just got us off by an hour and will be joining us in about 30 minutes because he was active on Telegram recently, and this was a last minute guest. I didn't know this, but Jake, this is sort of our hopefully. Well, no, again, it's like January 6th too. One of those like long story arcs that you eventually go, oh man, how long are we going to be talking about this? But it is very much relevant now. We are still a long ways from understanding all of the implications of what happened on January 6th. And so today we're supposed to have, and if not today, I'm sure we'll get them later this week. But I just told him last night, I think the exact time, that it would be 9:30 a.m. Pacific, and I believe he is in Thailand. Or somewhere in another time zone. So if he has it off, hopefully he'll be joining us. Maybe he had it off an hour early, and that's why he was messaging me then. Anyway, so we're going to get to a grab bag and then get back to your comments and calls, and hopefully somebody can call in and tell me why you donate blood, and then win membership in the Producers Club as a result.
Okay. I think
All
that's Kimberly. She's backstage getting herself set up, but I believe that's what she's probably calling in for. So,
All right. Well, then let's get her up here if she's ready. Yeah.
you want to go first?
All right. Hey, Kim, welcome to the show. Oh, do we have audio? Do I not have audio? Right there at the bottom, there should be like a cam mic, and you press and make sure that your audio's on.
She jumped out. I think we put her on a little bit prematurely there, or she was still swiping, trying to figure it out. I'm not sure. There she
All
is.
right.
She's getting her headphones in.
All
There she
right. Excellent. Thank you for your persistence, Kim.
Yeah, no problem. Happy birthday.
Oh, well, thank you. But I said don't say anything. But you're a regular blood donor, aren't you?
I used to be. Actually, you're my inspiration for getting back into it. I used to donate for whole blood, and then I went to pheresis, which is a 2-hour process. They take out your red blood cells, spin it around, take out your platelets, put your red cells back in, and they give it to leukemia patients. And you can do that more often.
Must be that you have some kind of specially eligible plasma, because what I've been doing is the opposite. And it takes less than an hour, but they take the red blood cells out and put the plasma with saline back in.
They can do all sorts of cool stuff with your blood and help all sorts of people. I'm sure there's no lack of benefits.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I also have, I don't know, can I virtue signal some more? I think on my driver's license, I have the little, donor circle too, organ donor.
Oh, that's cool. I should get that.
Same thing. Actually, why would you not? Why would does your family care if your body in an open casket has its real organs in it or not? Like you're going to deny somebody who's...
I have organ donors. Yeah, they don't care. It's my body. Do what I want with it when I'm dead.
I don't think we have a shortage in that sense of like organ donors who check. Because I remember, I think in Arizona and California, you get a driver's license, you check the box, and it just shows up automatically from then on. But you're in Florida right now, and I believe you have a Pennsylvania driver's license.
I still do. Actually, I quit my job the other day, so I'm actually driving back to Pennsylvania tomorrow after I get my rotors fixed. And then I think I'm going to interview for a job that's going to put me back into Florida. But I have my PA cannabis card, so I plan on stopping in there. It's been a while. And
speaking
packing.
of which, Kim, I should tell you if I can, and this is actually like a legit public service announcement for War on Drugs update. As yesterday, I got to do my first Arizona recreational cannabis purchase at High Mountain Health. Check this out. And we got
nice.
It was now. So here's the shitty government dilemma with this, because I didn't renew my card last November when I looked up and was like, wait, why would I give the government $150? It's going to be legal for recreational sales pretty soon here. Thing is, well, and maybe this is just for dispensaries and it's not relevant for much else, but it's a 16% sales tax on recreational cannabis that medical doesn't pay. So if you're going to pay more than $150 in tax at dispensary buying weed in Arizona, you still want to get the card so that you give government less money overall or something stupid like that. But I think more importantly, we're going to see the gray market blow up here really quickly in Arizona, like it did in California. You're not going to go to dispensaries. Someone's going to show up at your house with a backpack full of different strains. I guess maybe not when you live out in the boonies like us, but we'll have options, right?
All right, nice.
So what's
my birthday shirt? It says, "Want to smoke?" Wait, a pack a bowl.
Brilliant. So what's the legalization status in Florida, by the way?
It's medicinal only, and I'm under the impression my card doesn't work, but I will be calling before I leave to see if that's accurate.
Yeah,
it's not nationally recognized, so probably not.
It's Florida. I assume you haven't had supply challenges since you've been there.
I have, actually. I've not smoked anything since I ran out in October.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
quite
know
a
it's been a
detox.
minute. Well, I only had one day off, so I didn't meet any buddies. So it's just been what I had until it was out.
Well, back to the giving blood thing. Like, so you gave regularly and then stopped because some logistics thing interfered with your habit, and you
Yeah,
just
I
needed a
moved
reminder to get back into it, right?
pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, that just speak to anybody who's listening who has never been a regular blood donor or even given at all. Like, that just speaks to how easy it is. It's like getting your oil changed. Oh yeah, well now it's inconvenient, or now I'm not driving the car. You just stop doing it. You don't think about it, then you start driving the car. You get back in the habit. But if you're like, oh, and one thing is like, if you there is a disqualifier if you have gotten a tattoo within like 3 months or something like that.
I think I'm safe. I got mine in June.
Is that well? What I need to check for mine. Although I don't know. It was just a touch up, right?
How do they know though? How do they verify if you're not
Yeah,
misleading?
they don't do a full body check. Yeah, if you don't have it's not like a sore tattoo or fresh tattoo on your face, you're probably good. But no, I mean I don't want to mess with those things. Like if it's stupid, but it's I don't know. I don't want to like give blood fraudulently.
No, yeah. Well, it's no sense in doing it fraudulently. It doesn't make. I was just wondering how they verify. It's an honor system, I guess.
Right. But they test it. Like they test everything, and it's extremely safe. The incident like giving is extremely safe. It's getting that carries the risk. But even then, that's all the more reason to give now and build the supplies and be a part of
Do
that,
you know
right?
the current lack of blood? Are there numbers and statistics involved in the shortage?
It doesn't matter. Like I hate to
Not
say that
fair.
because it sounds so irrational and unscientific, but like we're not at the point where they're turning people away. So
Right, a
go
shortage
give
is a
blood.
shortage. Go
Yeah,
give
no,
blood.
they are. Well, no, the so I've looked at some of the numbers, and it's kind of meaningless because they're to me yeah, and the numbers are meaningful in deconstructing or getting into the details of what I'm about to say, but like there's an ideal of superfluous blood supply where it's in like emergency kits and everybody's got it everywhere it could possibly be administered properly, right? Down to zero, right? And then where we are now, where we're still doing pretty good, but they're deferring elective procedures because of the blood shortage.
Oh,
Bullshit.
that's a
And
problem.
how many people, and I don't know that this is even a thing, but one of my fears is that in some emergency situations, doctors have a conserving mindset towards conserving the supply and whether or not to give someone a transfusion in a surgery or in an emergency situation, how much blood to give them. And I say, until doctors are going fucking pump them up as much as they can take, we don't have enough. If doctors have to in any way, skimp on what they're giving out because of supply, it's too short, and people are gonna die or have their health compromised unnecessarily because you couldn't do your chores. Like it's a chore. That's it. It's a pretty easy chore, right? I mean, have you ever had any kind of bad experience giving blood?
No, just the smell of iodine made me nauseous, so they just skipped over to alcohol, which stung a little
Oh,
more, but
raised
it
ass.
didn't. Yeah, it was no big deal. It's really easy, and they put with the phoresis anyway. They recline you and let you watch a movie
Yeah,
because
right.
it's such a
Very
long
chill.
process.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at most, you know, mild discomfort with a moment of moderate discomfort and a tiny pinch of pain. I mean, you get your
It's
finger
really
pricked, you get
nothing,
a
and
needle
you
in.
just get to take it
Once,
easy for the rest of the day because you gave blood. Like
yeah, and once, yeah, and then
that's
you
it.
get to go pig out, like, because your appetite is way up from like, because your body has to replenish the blood supply, so you eat cookies and then you go have a nice meal and relax
Which is
and do
amazing that your
whatever else
body
you
can just
want.
replenish blood like that.
Yeah, like
You
that's
give a lot of it.
it's cool. Like it's fucking cool. Like scientifically, technically, like you're giving a piece of your body, right, to save someone else's life or to help them in a health challenge. Like, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
How do we
It's
not?
really not asking much. Hey, I gotta go. I gotta finish packing. But
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kim. Mwah.
yeah, thank you.
All right. All right, so let's get into our grab bag, and then we'll go back to comments and check in for callers. I think we still have not heard from Kenny yet. But if we miss him today, like I said, we'll get him tomorrow. All right. First in our grab bag today, Forbes.com. Footage of Rochester police restraining pepper spraying 9-year-old girl sparks outrage. Yeah. Newly released body camera footage shows that police officers in Rochester, New York, handcuffing and pepper spraying a screaming 9-year-old girl while responding to a family disturbance call has sparked a fresh wave of outrage against the city's police department. And, Rochester, New York, not exactly the, hot spot for Black Lives Matter, but also not one of, known for a police force with restraint. And here in this video, you see this, and that you can't and I'm all for non-lethals, and it's funny that you see cops using pepper spray here in a situation where they shouldn't, and then not using it in so many situations where they should and shooting people instead. But if this is, what reinvigorates the police reform movement in America, hey, then let's tell the story. The video of the Friday incident shows police who responded to a family troubles call, placed by the girl's mom, quickly escalating the situation as the daughter refused to get in the back of the police cruiser. Officers pushed the 9-year-old girl into the snow in order to handcuff her, and then when she still refuses to get inside the police car, they pepper spray her. At one point, police are heard telling the girl, "You're acting like a child," and she responds, "I am a child." I mean, again, there's no palm or there's no face big enough to palm when you hear something like this. And there's so many levels of failure. Again, a great mental health Monday kind of story, right? So many levels of failure in this story. And things that we could be doing better, and that we should tell the story, as a way of holding the mirror up to society, as we do so often. And it's not always, you don't do it when it's pretty, you do it when it's difficult. And this is one of those stories that you have to tell. Now, to the pepper spray issue, like we say, well, Adam, come on, you've been an advocate of pepper spray. Okay, first of all, even that, physically capable police officers with a 9-year-old girl in handcuffs can't physically control. I mean, okay, put her on a backboard, whatever, can't get her into the back of a police car, or if it's really that bad that you have to pepper spray her, call an ambulance, get her on a backboard, take her. You're talking about a 9-year-old girl who the police claim, as if it justifies their actions, that she was suicidal and posed a threat to others. Oh yeah, suicidal 9-year-old girl. Let's attack her. Yeah. Woo. It's enraging. Yeah, and you should be enraged seeing this, but you should be enraged in a way that motivates you to do something about this, to look at the root causes. And I mean, let's read the chief's comment on this. They were trying to get her in the car. The officer made a decision that he thought was the best to take. It resulted in no injury to her. They had to go and push further and use more force. There's a good chance she could have been hurt worse. And as much as I'm an advocate of pepper spray and tasers, but pepper sprays I think are preferably in most situations. But if you can carry both, carry both. And is that it is essentially very safe and non-lethal, but it's still not, non-traumatic. It's not, I mean, if the girl has asthma, has anaphylactic response to this, it's not an insignificant risk. They should be able to de-escalate. And this is why defund the police is so important as a rallying cry right now, to say, and it's not to say let's pull the rug out from underneath the status quo and the establishment and the systems upon which people defend, but let's take money that is going to police doing this and put it into mental health situation responders, put it into people who are trained into de-escalating rather than escalating. Let's put it into money so that that team representing that is in front and the police are in the back if they need to be there at all. Just that. Can we not use cops to respond to mental health crises like this? Because there's so, and we brought you the story last week, even more tragic, of 5 parents who called the police when their son called 911, excuse me, didn't call police, called 911 when their sons were having mental breakdowns, and they all ended up being shot by the cops. They trusted to come and save them. If you want to say that cops have any kind of legitimate role in society, then this ain't it. Like responding to mental health crises like this, shooting crazy people, pepper spraying suicidal 9-year-old girls, fuck no. So it really is a failure of American society that we are as capable as we are today, and we don't have a system that can respond appropriately to so many situations that we, as a society, at the community level, that we respond to so poorly. And it's not that hard to fix. And if this story does it, hey, then let Rochester be ground zero. Key background from the Forbes article on this: the city's police department came under heavy scrutiny in September of last year when it was revealed that Daniel Prude, a 41-year-old black man, had suffocated to death after police placed him in a hood while he was experiencing a mental health episode. Rochester's chief and deputy chief of police both resigned after the incident, and Mayor Warren vowed there would be change in the department. I'm sorry, it needs to be a lot more fundamental than that. All right, fun random story from the Sun. Now that's a pottle. Shocking drone footage shows huge crater on California's Highway 1 near Big Sur after landslide washes road away. Yeah, you just want to get that up on screen. Yeah, yeah, cool. Government roads, fun story, beautiful footage. Look at this. Yeah, if you're listening to this as the audio podcast, this is really a fun visual marvel of a coastal cliffside in California washing out a section of highway due to heavy rainfall. Just worth pointing out, marveling at, enjoying that. All right, so I told you we would have CJ, I warned you that we would have another story about COVID-19. This one, God damn it. No, all right, thank you, CJ. Thank you for sparing us the whole disclaimer. This is not like the big COVID update or lockdown updates, but just kind of proving a point that I've been making about testing for a long time, is that we've had this available. And so we're gonna go to a caller in a minute right after this story. But what I've been saying about tests, because remember, what was it, March or April last year? I got the prick test in the mail. You prick your finger, you put it on a test, put saline in it, and within 15 minutes. And so now, like, this is really cool. NewYorkPost.com is the story: COVID-19 tests now available in Oakland airport vending machine. Now, far be it for me as a libertarian to be able to celebrate something like this without being angry about something, right? You should be angry knowing that this is possible, and we could have had it a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. Like, we could have had this. Why not? Because government had to figure out who was going to be the profiteers of this one. Government had to let the cat out of the bag as slowly as possible. Government had to control the process. Government had to shit on everything it touches. So travelers passing through Oakland International Airport will now be able to grab a COVID-19 test out of vending machines, officials said. The self-administered kits are available for about $150 at the contactless kiosks in each terminal. Wouldn't it be funny if, like, they made you use your tongue to press the keypad to put your PIN number in on your but contactless vending machines. Why not? Of course. And airport spokesman said, "We realize that travelers are going through a tough time right now, especially as we all navigate this COVID pandemic. We want to give travelers another option for testing. They're intended for travelers returning to Oakland rather than those who are flying to a destination that requires a negative test upon arrival, because, of course, these aren't. Oh, wait, what? Oh my gosh, are you serious? These kits, these aren't even the fast ones. Holy shit! I'm sorry, I didn't even read this whole story before bringing it up. The kits require travelers to collect a saliva sample, then mail it in for testing. Really? We're still doing that shit? The outlet reported results are expected on an app on their phone within 48 hours of the shipment being received. Oh, really? Oh my God, that's so disappointing. All right. Let's get Comment Jim up here for a second, because apparently, Jim, I have to let one of the puppies. Marilyn is pawing at the door. Jim, the bridge is yours for 30 seconds, and then we'll take a caller.
Okay, for 30 seconds. Well, that's easy. I can play Reefer Madness's thoughts on the last few seconds. Nope, I ain't sending them my DNA. I'll take a hard pass. Thanks. That's what I would say to sending in a test. I mean, I can't even believe that's a thing. So
Well,
that's
just the
it.
fact that
Craig
that
says
easy.
medical professionals.
Sorry.
Well, yeah,
I
but
was
it
saying-
should be. It should still be different. I think it should be even easier. It should be easier in person if it was that much of an emergency. So Craig
Yeah,
says
no,
medical professionals should be dealing with mental health, not cops, right?
So yeah, back to the test for a second. One of the things we used to point out was, like, if this really was an emergency, they wouldn't be fucking with the test supply. They'd be getting them out there.
Right. Yep. Period.
One of the great contradictions of the COVIDiocy hoax. All right, so shall we get to our caller? We have an ex Mike,
Let's
an ex
do it.
cop.
Yeah. Mike G,
NYPD.
an ex-officer that wants to comment about the police section. So
Excellent. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Mike G, retired NYPD, calling in to respond to the Rochester pepper spray. Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
How you doing, Adam? Good, nice to see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, great.
Yeah. Here's to the public: stop calling 911. Stop it. Stop calling 911 with BS nonsense. Deal with your own family problems, because you're looking at a cop who's taken down younger than 9 years old and fought for my life. And that's the reality most people in the public don't understand. And if you think it's that easy, show me. Show me, because you're talking to a guy who's had to do it. And it ain't easy. And you want to know what the alternative is? ESU comes in, our SWAT unit comes in with a big plastic blanket, and they wrap you up like a yodel. And all you see is a head and feet at the end.
Well, isn't that a better technique? Isn't that safer? I mean, if you can get cuffs on someone,
you have to see the reactions of the public when you're carrying this kid out of a school or out of a home then you have to put him on the gurney, and then you're being called all kinds of names. You're abusive. Stop.
But see, that's the rare good cop, right, Mike? That will take the time and face the embarrassment and do the work to be slow and to de-escalate and use minimal force and be careful enough to wrap someone up like a burrito and carry them out of there carefully and use a gurney, not just, well, pepper spray, throw them in the back of the cop car.
It's not an easy thing, and a lot of these police departments do not have the resources that I had. They do not have the resources. I was in the largest police department on the face of the earth.
Right.
40,000 of us. There was an ESU truck available to every borough. You know what I mean? 2 or 3 of them, because of what could happen. A lot of these departments are miles away from resources, and it's you can't expect miracles when you have limited tools. You know what I mean? And you're talking to a cop that's had to use necessary force, whatever the fuck that means, and and necessary force. Yeah, I mean it could. No way around it. I've broken bones.
Hey, Mike,
using
that
a
was
PR-24.
we lost you for a second. Go back 2 sentences and repeat that. That was important.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I understand. Well, let me ask you more. Let me get to a more pointed question then, because I want the general public to be able to benefit from your wisdom. You've been out of the force for how long now?
I retired in 2013.
Okay, so, and how long were you in?
24 years.
There you go, folks. That so perspective, time, credibility, all of that.
Yeah.
So Mike, imagine I'm looking at something in my house that is overwhelming me. I've got a kid who's getting violent, or I've got so there's a fight between friends, or someone having a breakdown. I'm on the phone. I pick up the phone. You're right next to me. I'm saying, Mike, I can't handle this. I got to call 911. What are you telling me to do there?
I mean, we're obligated to go. We call them EDP jobs. It would come over as a 1054 EDP, and we would prepare ourselves on our way to getting to the job. And a lot of times, if you're working the same sector and you're familiar with hearing what's going on, you may identify the address and understand. Oh, I know that apartment. I know that house. I know what I'm in for. I'm already preparing. Listen, send me another unit. Have the sergeant respond. And then I'm making my call to the emergency service agent. Stand by. I may need you. And sometimes it works out okay. You could talk somebody out, go into the ambulance, and we'll escort as long as they're peaceful. But there are times where, let me tell you something. You have a young kid in this situation, 9, 10. They become, and if they have mental issues, and if they're on medication, they have this Superman strength. And when it takes 4 male cops to restrain a 9-year-old, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's very easy for the public to look at that situation and those cops, and I don't judge them. It's not an easy job.
Yeah, I don't either. They're trained and conditioned and set up to do this, and some of them do horrible things, even like this, with good
horrible
intent.
things. Horrible things could be under the word necessary. And
well, so what you said, Mike, you said earlier, don't call 911. What do you tell people to give them the understanding? What are the alternatives? How do you convince someone? No, you're better off calling a neighbor or handling this yourself, or calling somebody else rather than dialing 911 or calling the police.
It's potluck. You do what you got to do, and parents will do what they got to do. I've seen parents wrap a kid in a belt to restrain their kid from hurting them or a third person. You know what I mean? And you have to start negotiating in your own mind what was the right thing to do, what wasn't, what was safe, what was not. Otherwise you let the kid go and he runs amok. There is no easy solution here. There is no way around. There's no easy way to do this. There's no protective bubble that you just throw on the kid and just make him freeze. There's nothing you can do. And that goes for adults. I've had to take naked male adults. It's snowing here today. And I remember this in the Bronx. I had to walk 3 blocks from a side street to the main drag where it was plowed. And this guy was giving us a hard time, wiggling around. He was naked. We corralled him, cuffed him, and we were strong enough to get him out. But the ambulance couldn't come down the block, and we had to drag this guy through the snow. And everybody wants to, oh my God, look what they're doing. Now I have to get him to the ambulance that's 2 blocks away. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
You have to work with what you got. And they don't give you much to work with. And the thing
it is horrifically unfair to cops to expect them to respond properly to situations that they're not trained for.
What's properly?
Well, for mental health situation.
Mental health situation. Okay, let's go to the.
Or even just to de-escalate.
De-escalate a mental person who's in crisis.
Well, then to even contain them, but no, I mean this is
containment. What does containment mean? Containment can mean force. Containment can mean pressing somebody against the wall. They don't want you to do that either. I can't breathe. They can't breathe. They can't do this. It's a lose-lose. And if you have mental health, their toolbox, violent, emotionally disturbed person? What do they have that I don't have? What are they going to do? I'm going to step back as the cop and say, okay, doc, go for it. And then you know what happens? The doctor is going to get their ass kicked, and then it'll still be the cop's fault.
Okay, well, Mike, in terms of this whole system of mental health crises and 911 calls and emergency response in general and use of force, what would you like to see changed?
You just got to keep refreshing cops on what to do. Listen, I tell young cops that I still know on the job now. I tell them, listen, take your time, slow your response, and when possible, do nothing. Call the boss. We're in a situation now with policing where you have to call the boss before you write a ticket. And before, when I came on the job, I was told by a supervisor before I went out on patrol, listen, if you're going to call me to the scene, have a good reason to call me. I'm not coming for nothing. You better have a collar, or there better be something. I was my own boss, and I had to make the decisions out there when I responded to a 911 call. And we were responding in some of the places I worked, stabbings, shootings, calls for shots, domestic violence, EDPs, deaths, natural deaths in a home. You're asking the police, to be miracle workers, and they're just not. And they're being used as scapegoats, in my opinion. And I would tell the cops, do very little. If the kid is out there and he's hurting himself, and he's an EDP, and he's a violent EDP, what are you supposed to do? He's hurting himself. We had a kid one time. He came out with a chair over his head, and I was with my partner who was pretty young with me. He came with a chair over his head, out of a room. The mother was telling me, yeah, he's in the room. The kid came out. He's a big kid. Came out with a chair over his head, and we drew. That chair would kill me if it hits me the right way. We drew, and then I recognized the kid recognized me because he had dealt with me before, and he stopped and put the chair down. And I told my partner, holster, and then I walked the kid out to the ambulance. But But I had history there with him. But these people can kill you, can hurt you. So who's you want to talk about whose life is more important here. Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to do this, but everybody is easy to judge what another man or woman is going to do, that you give them the responsibility of authority to protect and serve, which is, another topic we could talk about. There is no guaranteed right to protection anywhere at any time. It's a
well established legally, yes. So Mike, let me just ask one more question then. What's your biggest regret from your time as a police officer with NYPD?
Oh, geez. That's another long show. I belong to the largest police department in the world, the most dysfunctional, and extremely micromanaged. The ability, how about this? Discretion. Allow the officers to apply proper discretion, but you have to have the right people out there. Like I said, when I was a rookie, I was told, I had to learn quick, and we had to make decisions, and apply proper discretion. You know what I mean? And we did, and I never had repercussions from it. And the cops today, they're extremely micromanaged. They're worried about every little thing that's happening to them. Why they're going out there doing this job, I have no idea. You have to call the boss for everything. The patrol guide in the NYPD is thicker than the IRS code book. And it's thicker than the IRS code book. I used to have a boss, and you have to flip to a page. But human experience and human life cannot be dictated by a guide. And it was a guide. You have to think on your feet, because things start happening like this. Somebody comes through a closet, behind a door. You have to have your head on a swivel. I have an incident that happened to me as a young rookie. I had my gun in this kid's face. This is right after Rodney King. All the kids in the stairwell of the school yelling at the single cop in the stairwell. Rodney King, get the cop. Rodney King, get the cop. Yeah, you want to talk? Who became the EDP? Me.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
the kid
it is.
into a court. It's no joke. No joke.
No, you're right, Mike, and I think it's important for anybody who wants to challenge and reform the system to have that kind of empathy for cops in their situation. That if you get suckered into taking that job, you're going to be put in a lot of shitty situations that you never anticipated. So, Mike, I really appreciate you sharing your perspective on this.
The cameras have a lot to do with it, though. The cameras have a lot to do with it. They're good and they're bad. There's some things that people shouldn't see.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining and sharing your perspective, Mike. I hope you'll call back in and weigh in next time we have some major flashpoint of a police brutality or police taking story.
Just one more thing. Happy birthday, Adam. Today's my son's birthday too.
Right on.
So and I'll get back on the bloodline too because I had an operation in October. I had to get away. And
nice. Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. That was a fun call. By the way, just triggered me thinking about cameras and police accountability. I think we had a little update I never got to share with y'all about my Shall ID case in New Orleans. It is going to oral argument at some I should look up what court it is. But March 3rd in somewhere in New Orleans, Louisiana, at some court building. If you want to mark your calendar, if you can be in New Orleans, then our friend Robert Evans, one of my favorite libertarian activists there, he has a suit and with the suit jacket with like a huge Louisiana Libertarian Party logo embroidered. I mean, it's like New Orleans classy version of libertarianism there. He should be joining me in court if we are allowed in. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to be there. I might be attending by video conference, but this is my Shall ID case where I refused to identify myself when I had not committed a crime, but a cop was demanding ID. And this, incidentally, connection with New York too, not just by the video cameras involved in this. Oh, and that we have body camera footage of them dropping me on my head in custody. But there's also the element here of this is the South's version of stop and frisk, like in New York. So anyway, a couple other quick headlines we got to cover today that are legit headline news. CNBC.com: silver jumps 7% as Reddit traders try their squeeze play with the metal. And I love this. Just as someone who's got a little pile of silver myself, as a backup, as someone who's always been a champion of silver. But this isn't exactly what we're talking about. This is, of course, going to drive up the price of silver and the demand. My take on this whole, Reddit goes to GameStop and these other like stocks where they're trying to screw hedge fund managers who have overshorted their companies, and some of the hedge fund managers who lose out, they're going to step into that casino and give them money, and some of them are going to make out. I want to point out our next story here from the New York Times. 10-year-old GameStop investor cashed in his return over 5,000%. This is Jaden Carr of San Antonio, made $3,200 on shares from GameStop this week that his mother bought him in 2019 for about $60. Good timing, dude. Like, seriously, you cashed out at the top of the GameStop bubble, or at least near the top. And this is they're putting this headline together to say, oh, look, 10-year-old GameStop investor. But overall, and there are going to be a lot of fun stories like this. There's going to be a lot of manipulation. I hate to be super skeptical because there are some great positives coming out of this in terms of like the crowd sourcing of the market, and people being able to buy as more conscientious consumers and leverage their money, spending online. Yeah, there's a lot of great things coming out of this. But the exposure of the whole leveraging and the fact that they were a casino, and the fact that they tried to do this and ran into the Biden administration coming in and telling them, oh, we got to freeze those trades because you don't want to do no. We want the people, let the people trade, but just not like that. So we're going to say that the whole response by government has exposed a whole other level of why this is a problem in the first place. But my fear is that overall, small investors jumping in on this are still going to lose on average. There's some that are going to be able to like see the bubble and ride the wave and sell the top, but then it's going to come back down. Does this do anything? What did the bigger question on GameStop as the centerpiece example in all of this is, was GameStop significantly undervalued by investors as a whole. And if that was the case, and there was this was part of the game, and that there were a couple of major hedge funds that had bought shorts, that they had bet on the price of GameStop continuing to go down. And it makes sense. Everything's going digital and retail is disappearing to online sales. Like, why would GameStop now? Of course, they got a website. I'm not saying, I don't want to make, I'm trying to analyze or judge GameStop's business model, but it seemed to be going the way of Blockbuster Video. So if GameStop was hugely undervalued and a bunch of gamers went and said, no, look, we know that now it's going to be a gamer-owned corporation, but that's not the case. It's so big and tied into the whole banking financial system that I'm gonna stick it to the man by buying GameStop. No. But now we go to silver. So back to the silver store, CNBC today. The sharp move higher builds off gains for silver and silver-related equities late last week. The spike in demand for silver appears to be related to retail traders in the Reddit forum Wall Street Bets, which has helped drive trading activity in heavily shorted stocks like GameStop and AMC Entertainment in recent weeks. So, I as someone who just sees the monetary value of silver and believes that way more people should have some physical silver at this point in history, I'm not saying for the long run that silver is undervalued, but it certainly is right now, because there should be a lot more people buying and owning at least just a decent chunk of practical physical silver. You want to have an emergency cash supply if the dollar crashes and you need to relocate, take care of your family for a while, whatever that is for you. You should have that covered in silver. You should have that covered in gold. You should have that covered in ammo. You should have that covered in MREs and whatever it is that you can have. Those are, monetary mechanisms and options as survival mechanisms here, right? So crypto, of course, got to be diversified with crypto. But the surge of silver going up 7%, it's now at $28.87 an ounce. So probably on a spike. I want to say there's, again, like with crypto, there's no bad time to buy Bitcoin. There's no bad time to buy silver. And it might still be going up. You might be on the bottom side of the bubble. I would say if you're buying silver now because it's up 7%, it's still probably a really good time to buy, because, and this is my humble prediction, that this 7% surge is somewhat of a correction, and that people buying here aren't going to be selling out. And if anything, it's going to get more people thinking about the practical value of silver as an investment and a monetary device. So if silver had jumped 50% or like something crazy like the GameStop stock, I'd be like, yeah, we'll wait the bubble out. But silver, this might be a good time to get in and ride it going up. Although it is a bit of a bubble, and I'm not pretending to have the absolute expert analysis of this bubble. If you really want to get into it, do your research. There are plenty of other people doing really in-depth analyses on the internet of all of these trends with the price of the dollar and silver and the stocks around the whole Reddit and Wall Street Bets forum and the trading around this. But I am a much bigger fan of people going, yeah, let's buy silver than let's buy some stock that is ultimately going to make rich people richer because you're trading in their forums. So it's great to see that that's happening. And while again, being very, very skeptical, I think there's a lot of manipulation. But hey, if you are one of GameStop's like primary owners, this is more. If I had to bet, I would say this is more likely the manipulation of somebody who stood to profit from GameStop stock going up, for making it look like a grassroots thing in order to profit off of that, than being legitimately grassroots. So sorry, was that from Craig? Tell this Reddit group to all buy Adam versus the Man merch. Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get to that, but certainly I hope they appreciate this analysis, and that maybe I'll get a big told you so out of this later, because if that's what this is, if I'm generally right about the net loss or the net effect for all of these minnows taking on the whales, it's going to be a net loss, and maybe it'll be a few months, maybe it'll be a few years for that to become apparent. But buying stock is not the way to stick it to the man, even though it might be fun, it might have all these wonderful fallout shakeout effects, and that might be better if you see it as activism. Like I would say with crypto, don't invest certainly about the stock market or money that you would leave in a bank account. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. All right, a couple quick headlines here, I guess, before we get back to calls. Internationally, Politico.com has this headline: military coup launched in Myanmar, Suu Kyi detained. Yeah. In Myanmar, military television said Monday that the military was taking control of the country for 1 year, while reports said many of the country's senior politicians, including Aung San Suu Kyi, had been detained. A presenter on military-owned Mawadi, that's probably Mayawati TV, made the announcement and cited a section of the military draft constitution that allows the military to take control in times of national emergency. He said the reason for takeover was in part due to the government's failure to act on the military's claims of voter fraud in last November's election and its failure to postpone the election because of the coronavirus crisis. Now, this is one of those stories we're going to have to follow up on. There's going to be way more to this in the future in terms of actually untangling it. It's one of those stories I see now, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go with just this preliminary propaganda saturated version of the story. But bigger thing to point out here is that governments all around the world are pretty destabilized right now. Corona pressures have made it possible for the bigger string pullers as well as the people to rise up in different ways. And one of the stories, I guess I'd have to say, I'm telling in parallel to this, jumping ahead. Wait, do we have? Yeah, here we go. CJ, if you let me jump ahead to this one from AP News next. Over 5,100 arrested at pro-Navalny protests across Russia. Now, this is one of those times I have to remind people, like, how big is Russia compared to the United States? And economically, 1/30th to 1/40th. I guess I should pull up the population, right? What is Russia? I should know this. If I'm going to try to make comparisons, is CJ on it faster than me? Russia population compared to the United States. The Russian population is 144.4 million, according to Google, as of 2019. So a little less than half the population of the United States at 330 million, but economically, 1/30th the size of the economic power of the United States. And this story is something we've been following for a long time, now hitting this breaking point, it seems, or at least I don't want to call it that. That would be the collapsitarian in me getting carried away, but at least coming to some points of significant instability. Chanting slogans against President Vladimir Putin, tens of thousands took to the streets Sunday across Russia to demand the release of jailed opposition leader Alexei Navalny, keeping up nationwide protests that have rattled the Kremlin. More than 5,100 people were detained by police, according to a monitoring group, and some were beaten. The massive protests came despite efforts by Russian authorities to stem the tide of demonstrations after tens of thousands rallied across the country last weekend in the largest, most widespread show of discontent that Russia has seen in years. Despite threats of jail terms, warnings to social media groups, and tight police cordons of protesting again engulfed cities across Russia's 11 time zones on Sunday. So remember last year with the rise of BLM, or the re-rise, excuse me, of BLM, following the George Floyd videos, of being choked out in Minneapolis, George Floyd's death, reinvigorating the whole police reform movement and Black Lives Matter in the United States. And there was a, even if you didn't believe in the cause, even if you didn't believe in the significance and importance of the cause of BLM, it was hard not to celebrate people saying, you know what, fuck you, government. Our protest cause is more important than your COVID lockdown orders. Right? And there's something really beautiful about that act of defiance. And what we're seeing in Russia, I think, is another scale more of that, of a more intense in terms of demonstrating in defiance of government. And on an even more pointed thing here, a lot of the BLM demonstrations, and this is not to be overly critical, but to point out a significant strength by comparison of what's happening in Russia as a real challenge to state power, is that Black Lives Matter protests were part of a much bigger, more nebulous movement with a broad set of demands, more or less wanting to just call attention to the issue, as opposed to with specific rallies. And I don't want to say this is not a thing, because in Black Lives Matter, there were oftentimes rallies with more specific demands. But here in Russia, it's really focused on the political opposition group led by and symbolized in its oppression by the experience of Alexei Navalny. And like I've been following Alexei Navalny for over a decade. I think it's been that long. I mean, since I've been covering current events as a pundit at least. And like, when is this story going to come to a head? And it may be right now. It may have taken COVID. So it's tempting. What's the bigger point with all of these international stories and the destabilization of COVID, or due to COVID, and even what we're seeing in the United States is something that we should take as optimistic, because it's really easy to go, what is this? Oh yeah, Alexei Navalny. Yes, look him up on Wikipedia for his backstory. Thank you, CJ. But if you want to get that perspective on what's happening with COVID, and you're looking at it from maybe a libertarian or skeptical perspective, it's really tempting to go, oh my gosh, big conspiracy, lots of evil. But it's not that simple. Even then, even from that analysis, you have to see the positive side of all of this. Just like Trump. Yeah, Trump was a socialist, communist, fascist by the definition of those words. But we can still celebrate him having a destabilizing effect on the system, merely by his presence, his messaging, and his language. So I guess, let's see, we haven't heard from Kenny. Excuse me. So we are, I'll figure out how to get him in the show tomorrow or later this week. Let's see, another international headline we didn't get to last week, but ironic story. It's the last one in the stack here. CJ, CNN has this headline: Uganda's lesson to other authoritarians: controlling the internet works, as if the Great Firewall of China wasn't enough of an example. And I love it. This in front of some. So look, CJ, get that image back up there on screen. I'm going to read the captions because look. Did you notice? Did you notice the sign there, CJ? Security forces are seen blocking the entrance to Ugandan opposition leader Bobby Wine's property on January 16, 2021 in Kampala, Uganda. Freedom Drive. So this is the opposition leader. I don't know if this isn't entirely legit or not, but if you want to get in this story, I just had to cover this before it got any older. The link will be in the in the notes. By the way, about COVID stuff, one other thing worth mentioning, going back to the stack here, CJ, from Reuters via yahoo.com. CDC orders sweeping U.S. transportation mask mandate as COVID-19 rages. Got to cover this even outside of our COVID block, because this is a bigger sort of political logistical story. But sweeping mask mandates, we told you this might be coming with the Biden administration. Looks like it is now. And the big funny thing is, I wish I'd included in our notes like all the awesome triple, quadruple masks. You must stay at least 6 feet of masks away from everybody at all times. Like, you're going to stack masks. There's a great meme going around of someone with masks on their face stacked up to 6 feet in every direction off of their head. In China, another similar escalation that I think is a possibility we can look at as part of the silver lining in the destabilization. China sharpens language, warns Taiwan that independence means war. Yeah, China toughened its language towards Taiwan on Thursday, warning after recent stepped-up military activities near the island that independence means war and that its armed forces were acting in response to provocation and foreign interference. It's funny that we might need the Taiwanese to show us how to be American again in terms of declaring independence and standing up to the big empire. So with that, those are all of our critical headlines for today. I got a few more in the grab bag. A lot of good news stuff. I hate to say this because like last week we used our Friday episode for a whole lot of other things, a couple of blocks we had to do. But the and calls, we had some great calls Friday's show. But this Friday we're going to do our cutting edge of good news style episode again. And get back to that. We got a lot of good stuff on that that's been piling up. So we're gonna have a really packed good news episode on Friday. Let's get Comet Jim back up on screen here. Smoke some weed for the last few minutes of the show with me, and get to comments and maybe a call or two. What do we have, Jim? And then the good news, of course.
Kareem, the last person to comment,
was your audio off, Kareem? Kareem Mays, is Alexei Navalny more on the statist or libertarian side? Just curious. That's a good question. I think he's generally libertarian leaning. I haven't really done. You know what? I'm kind of embarrassed to not have a good answer to that question after what I said earlier, because I should have more of a sense. I don't want to comment because I don't want to speak for him, and I can't answer that confidently. Jim?
Can you hear me? You can't hear me?
No audio.
Right.
I don't know. Is anybody else getting audio? Should be coming through StreamYard.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Let me try.
Do we have the music? Is CJ playing music and that's just me not hearing it now? What a weird StreamYard glitch, if that's what it is. You want to keep throwing up comments to respond to here? We got 10 minutes to go. I can cover some. I got so many news stories. But I want to hear from you, Jim. Jim, is it just me? Checking out the Producers Club. CJ?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you either, CJ.
Can you hear me?
So it's just me? Not hearing you guys?
It's just
Can
you.
you hear me?
I can't hear
It must
Jim.
be just you. I hear
I can't.
CJ.
I'm going to log out and come back on then. You guys have fun for a minute.
Hi,
Good
Jim.
times.
Hi, Jim.
420 Pat Rock has some good advice. Never invite the cops to a snowball fight because you shouldn't invite them anywhere. So it's always good advice, no matter what you put at the end of that sentence. Never invite the cops to fill in the blank.
Right.
Kimberly hears both of us, so it was definitely just Adam. There he is. He's
Yeah,
back.
I
Can you hear
can
us
hear.
now?
But I got to play the music for me one more time so I can dance to it instead of pretending to dance to
Okay.
it.
Well,
I
let's
should
do
have
it.
cash, but
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
So I guess I should take the occasion to just sort of finish the story about buying rec weed in Flagstaff yesterday. This was High Mountain Health. I'd been there a few times as a medical purchaser. A great shop. They have, by the way, one little thing they do. I will plug as a unique thing, and I guess I skipped it yesterday because I was doing it without the mask and getting shuffled out of there. Maybe they're not doing it, but they give you a token at the end of your purchase, and then you get to put it in one of 3 boxes and vote on which charity their donation for that month goes to as a bit portion of their sales. So it's pretty cool, just community connection, local business practice, and I'm happy to support High Mountain Health and recommend them if you're in the Flagstaff area. And if you go and say you have a medical exemption, you're not supposed to wear a mask. They will serve you on the sidewalk if you have cash, or ask you to put on a mask for 10 seconds to come inside to pay with your debit card. And they are polite and respectful and I think reasonably accommodating if you wanted to buy weed recreationally without a mask, even in Flagstaff, Arizona, which Jim knows, like I was saying before, right? Flagstaff, you and me, we went to the Walmart there, only ones like every time not wearing a mask. Prescott, there were maybe 2 or 3%. You'd see a few other people, but Flagstaff being a little more liberal college town, a little more statist than the rest of Arizona. Just not as bad as Phoenix, but worse than Chino. Worse, and then Chino. I was there this weekend too with Eden. Safeway in Chino Valley was what was it like? I think it was a third of people not wearing masks, which was a really weird mix level, and nobody really, but everybody's polite about distancing, just country folk out here. I wish we had a map percentage mask and you could track like if we had the AI capability like to do so, like you could have a map of America like point by point, like what's the mask wearing frequency by area.
I joked with my daughter about if I knew how to create apps, I would create an app that, like, I came out of a store, I went into a Circle K that I had never been to before, and I was like, okay, hold on, and I went in the store, I was in there, got what I got, and I came back out and I said, this store is marked safe from masks. And she was oh, if you had an app, you could mark it safe so that everybody could go on the app and know which places they could shop and not have to wear a mask,
Well, we're getting to the point where everybody's ready to be done with this shit, even the people who believe in it. And as libertarians, as someone who's on the spectrum, by the way, one of the things I found out was that I'm actually a transsexual because I raised the issue on Twitter. I'm autogendered. It's my gender experience is defined by being autistic, and therefore doesn't match. I look like a normal cisgender male, and I generally act like one, but on the inside, I'm really an autogender. And that, all right, I'll stop. But no, I do mean this in a serious way. Like, this is how ridiculous. And I did the rant. I support trans rights on this, that, and the other. And you want to be called what you want to be called. Generally, I'm going to respect that. Just there's so much bullying and political bullshit manipulation around this. And you go, oh, wait, you've gone too far because technically now I'm transgender by your definitions. Like, really? Okay, fine. You want, but yeah, the thing about taking the mask off and being able to go out and say, like, I'm not falling for this. You can make joke, like, more people are of that skeptical attitude now than buying into it. And I just a quick little joke. When I was at the grocery store, Safeway in Chino Valley, I'm getting my avocados, and there's two women, actually three women, and I'm like, oh, you're touching the produce? That's still allowed here? And we all, because none of us, we were all not wearing masks, just the four of us, and they thought that was hilarious. And then, hey, don't touch that one. I'm pretty sure that avocado has COVID on it. Like this stuff like that. And
they locked the place down after you walked out and said that.
Yeah, right. Just being able to tell it's like I really like it's for as much as I don't go out, like I really enjoy, and Jim knows what I mean, like when I'm out and about, being able to just connect with strangers and tell friendly jokes about stupid shit as it comes up. And like cashiers or people holding the door for you, whatever it is. And it's a nice way to live and to just always be in that state of connecting with people around you and being jovial and humorous. And right now it's starting to get, I think people are over the fear enough that like you can do that. It's really easy now to just make jokes about COVID, whether you're wearing a mask or not, whether your target for humor is wearing a mask or not. You can joke, you find a way to joke about it. So I encourage everybody to do that. Keep it lighthearted,
Yeah. I was wondering, as far as the masks go in like Flagstaff and the colder climates like that, I wonder if people just not really start taking them off till after the cold weather, because it's got to be another layer. They're probably well, it's working out anyways. I got to wear it. So they just wearing it to stay a little tiny bit warmer. But then come spring and, when in Flagstaff anyways, obviously.
Yeah, no, I thought of that too. It's sort of like, all right, mandatory ski mask, sort of, for everybody for a while, sort of.
Right.
And yeah, it's when it's cold. Yeah, no, I thought
I was going to wear it anyway. Funny.
All right, any other critical comments before we wrap this up with the good news?
No, let's get to some good news in our lives and head
out. All right,
out.
we'll do the promos and then I'll play us out with the good news, Jim.
Oh, the promos. Okay. All right. I got to remember that you've been having me do those. I keep forgetting. Well, visit AdamVersusTheMan.com, as you see on the bottom of the screen there. It's a wonderful website that CJ put a lot of time into. There's a Patreon link there that gives you this page where you can donate for $1, $5, $10, or $50 a month. $10 is the sweet spot, gets you access to the Producers Club that we talk so much about and we just won't shut up about. Kimberly won access by her call-in today.
And so did Mike.
And so did Mike. So email me, jim@thefreedomline.com, and we'll get you set up with the link to join that private group. And also, CJ, I don't mean to switch it up on you, but that sounded like a perfect spot to add in the public Adam versus the Man Telegram group. So we should do that. We should go from the Patreon, join the private Patreon group. If you don't want to join the private one, you can also join the public Telegram channel at that address right there, t.me/Adam versus the Man. Then you can go back to our website, AdamVersusTheMan.com, and check out the merch that CJ's put together. Make sure that once you get to the page and you scroll down there, CJ, scroll, make sure that you realize there's a load more button, and that pops up a few times so you can keep scrolling. We don't have just 9 items that pop up on your page. Keep hitting the load more button, keep loading more items. Check out what we got. and help us out with that way and get some awesome merch in the process. So after that, you can go to cigarfederation.com and pick from any one of the wonderful flavors of cigars that they have to choose from there. You use promo code ADAM10, all caps, ADAM10, gets you 10% off of your entire order, anything you want. You could literally, well, I can't believe I was about to say, put it together buy a bunch of them for Christmas presents, and it's January, so that's retarded, but you get the idea. After that, go to Instagram to check out anything that Adam has posted that has to do with the Garden of Freedom up there in Gardenia. Everything through pictures. You can keep up with what's going on up there if you're curious. I love all the pictures there. I look at them repeatedly. So there you go.
Hold on, Marilyn. We're almost done. I let the puppies out, and now they're scratching at the door. Don't worry, we'll have this problem solved soon here. All right, you ready to wrap up with the good news then? For more good news on this date, this is from goodnewsnetwork.org/events. More good news. Events 070201. Good news in history for February 1st. We're gonna skip the thing about La Bohème, the opera, but yes, it was 125 years ago today. It premiered in Turin, Italy. And on this day in 1893, Thomas Edison finished the first motion picture studio, the Black Maria in New Jersey. I was gonna get to talking about my birthday season. No. We have a more important musical interlude here. Because not just on this day in 1913, New York's Grand Central Terminal opened as the world's largest train station, but it was on this day in 1920 that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police began. But more importantly than that, even they would one day inspire the Ren and Stimpy show's Royal Canadian Kilted Yaxman.
Our country reeks of trees. Our yaks are really large, and they smell like rotting beef carcasses.
And I think that's all we're allowed to play due to intellectual property restraints. All right. Okay. So it was on this day in 1942, the Voice of America began broadcast news in German to shortwave radios in Germany to combat Nazi propaganda. On this day in 2005, Canada introduced the Civil Marriage Act, making Canada the fourth country to sanction same-sex marriage. By the way, I'm half Canadian. I don't know if that theme was showing through here, but don't tell anybody. On this day in 2009, Johanna Sigurdardóttir or something like that was elected the first female prime minister of Iceland and became the first openly gay head of state in the modern world. That was this day in 2009. On this day I'll just say today is the first day of Black History Month in the United States. It marks the day 4 Black college students began to stage their sit-in at a lunch counter. And here it is, 61 years ago today. And this I love. This is my favorite part of the history of my birthday. Yes, my day in history. It was 61 years ago today. 4 Black students from North Carolina A&T State University sat down at the whites-only lunch counter inside a Greensboro Woolworth store. Although they were refused service, they stayed until closing. More joined them over the next few days, and sit-ins spread to other North Carolina cities. On July 25th, 1960, after losing $200,000 in sales because of the boycotts were set up, the Greensboro store abandoned its segregation policies. 4 years after the Greensboro Four staged their sit-in, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 mandated desegregation in all public accommodations, including beaches, libraries, parks, and museums. And that's not the important part. The lesson here is that the action came from people standing up in defiance, not government coming in and forcing that change later, codifying it and taking credit. No, it comes from you. And if you want to do anything else to celebrate my birthday, stand up to the man. With that, peace and love, y'all. Choose happiness and be excellent to each other.